If Atlantis ever existed, then traces of it, and possibly other civilizations, must lie somewhere on the ocean floor. And strangely enough, huge man-made inexplicable structures are being found. Yonaguni Dwarka Bimini. 3 places in 3 different oceans, but with one mystery in common. They shouldn't be there. Could it be that history as we know it is just the tip of the iceberg? In the southern waters of the Ryukyu Islands, off the coast of Japan's Yonaguni Island, lies a giant rock formation. But it's unlike any other natural formation. In 1986, a shock diver accidentally discovered a submerged structure that looked like a pyramid or an ancient temple. Since then, the area has been known by its name, the Yonaguni Ruins. Yonaguni is about 150 meters long, 40 meters wide, and nearly 30 meters high, with huge steps, precise right-angle cuts, and sharp edges that look like they were chiseled with modern tools. Some sections even look like stairs leading up to platforms, gateways, and long corridors. That raises the question, is this a natural structure eroded by the sea? Or is it the man-made remains of an ancient sunken civilization? Professor Masaki Kimura, a leading Japanese geologist, is convinced that this is not natural. He believes that there is evidence of human hands, traces of tools, carvings, and logical arrangements between areas. According to Komura, this area could belong to a prehistoric civilization, dating back more than 10,000 years. That is older than the civilizations of Egypt or Mesopotamia. However, some Western scientists disagree. They believe that the geology in the Yonaguni area has clear stratification properties, allowing the rocks to naturally fracture and crack in perpendicular geometry. But the question remains, could nature accidentally create such a large, symmetrical and architectural-like structure on the ocean floor? Kimura claims to have found symbols resembling inscriptions, sculptures of human heads, and even roads connecting different underwater areas. If this is confirmed, we could be looking at an ancient city that has been buried under the sea for millennia, perhaps a remnant of Atlantis. Remember, Plato wrote that Atlantis sank more than 9,000 years before his time, or about 11,600 years ago, coinciding with the end of the last ice age, when global sea levels rose tens of meters. If Atlantis did exist, it may not have been just a place, but a vast civilization spanning many coastal regions around the globe. And Yonaguni may be just one of many remnants deep beneath the sea, waiting to be discovered. If you think underwater cities are just myths, then India might make you think again, because here legend and archaeology collide in a place called Dwarka. In the epic Mahabharata and ancient Indian texts, such as the Bhagavata Purana, Dwarka is described as a great city built by Lord Krishna. Located on the shores of the Arabian Sea, it had golden palaces, wide straight streets, walls, and great gates, a divine city, civilized beyond its time. But legend also says after Krishna left this world, Dwarka was swallowed by the sea. For thousands of years, people considered it a spiritual legend, until archaeologists found evidence. In 2001, an Indian archaeological and oceanographic team used sonar to survey the Gulf of Cambay, now the Gulf of Cumbernauld, and discovered huge structures lying on the seabed, nearly 40 kilometers from shore, at a depth of more than 30 meters below. They found stone-walled streets, ancient wells, and geometrical structures stretching for more than 9 kilometers. What was shocking was that pottery fragments and organic charcoal floating nearby were analyzed for radiocarbon, and the results were backhand index pointing at least 9,000 years old, a date that strangely matches the time Plato spoke of Atlantis, around 9,600 BC. Scientists such as S.R. Rao, the former head of the Archaeological Survey of India, believe that the ancient city of Dwarka may have existed and was largely submerged by rising sea levels after the last ice age. They have found stone pillars, foundations, carved bricks, and even stone artifacts that could not have formed naturally. Many consider this to be one of the strongest pieces of evidence for the existence of a prehistoric civilization, more advanced than modern history has ever recognized. The question is, how can a legend accurately describe the location, structure, and fate of a city if it is entirely imaginary? Is Dwarka not just a myth, but the memory of an ancient civilization passed down through religion and literature for millennia? And if Krishna did exist, he may have been a real person, representing a civilization that reached its peak, then was wiped out of history by a natural disaster, or something even more terrible. Atlantis and Dwarka, two cities in two different places, in two completely different cultures. But there are some creepy coincidences. Both were glorious coastal cities. Both were sunk by a great disaster. Both were related to people or creatures with power and knowledge beyond their time. And finally, both are slowly rising from the bottom of the sea, thanks to modern technology. Thousands of kilometers away from Japan and India, a giant rock formation lies silently under the clear blue waters of the Bahamas, as if waiting for humanity to return to uncover the buried truth. In 1968, a group of divers unexpectedly discovered a row of giant, rectangular rocks deep under the sea, near the island of Bimini in the western Atlantic Ocean. These rocks are as big as cars lined up in a straight line, stretching nearly 800 meters, like an ancient road or even the foundation of an urban project. Each rock has clear edges, fits closely together as if it had been deliberately cut and arranged. Something that would be difficult to happen if it were created by nature alone. What makes it all the more intriguing is that Edgar Cayce, the famous 20th century prophet, predicted that Atlantis will be discovered near Bimini around 1968 or 1969, and it was at that time that Bimini Road was discovered. Many researchers believe that this could be the remains of an ancient, sunken city, or at least a touch point of the Atlantean civilization that stretched across the Atlantic Ocean. Some geologists have argued that Bimini Road may be a tectonic fracture of limestone, which was eroded by the sea, but its precise layering and regular length leave open the possibility of human intervention, or a structure that has never been fully understood. And the biggest question remains: why is a road buried deep under the sea, in a place that was dry land 11,000 years ago? From Yonaguni in the Pacific to Dwarka in the Indian Ocean, to Bimini in the Atlantic, all are submerged structures, located exactly where land was before the last ice age. And if that is true, Atlantis may not have been a single city, but a global civilization that came and went, leaving only fragments scattered across the vast ocean. 3 locations, 3 different seas, half a world apart, but they all have something in common. Large square architectural structures located deep under the sea. About 11,600 years ago, the last ice age ended. The huge ice sheets melted, causing global sea levels to rise tens of meters. In just a few centuries, a series of coastal lands disappeared. If a civilization had existed in those lands, then when the sea rose, they were swallowed up, disappearing from history, leaving only traces on the ocean floor. But there is evidence that the event was more than just a natural climate phenomenon. Some researchers believe that Earth experienced a global catastrophe, perhaps a meteorite impact as suggested by the younger Drya's impact, a supervolcanic eruption, or even a global war that legends called the War of the Gods. The result: fire, ice, then water. Entire continents were razed. Cities sunk. The memory of that civilization remains only in myth. Plato did not say Atlantis was buried deep under ice, or hidden in a jungle. He said it sank into the sea in a single night and a single day. Now as Yonaguni, Dwarka, Bimini appear one after another. Are they not legends but real ruins? And was Atlantis not a single city, but the symbol of a global civilization older than we ever imagined? 3 underwater structures, 3 pieces of evidence that challenge conventional history. And they all suggest one thing: there was once an ancient, global civilization that disappeared in silence. It could have been melting ice, rising sea levels, or a global catastrophe that humanity has yet to remember. And Atlantis, it may not have been a single city, but a symbol of all that we have lost.